Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Midweek Fix Liverpool versus Spurs match reaction show for this Wednesday night. I'm Gav, I'm joined by Keith, and I'm joined by Gar. Grizz is on his way. He says he has laptop issues. The issues are probably just hasn't turned it on, but we'll see how it goes. He should be joining us in the next couple of minutes. So, Liverpool 2, Tottenham of the Hotspurs 1, and this is a massive win, I think, for Liverpool. An absolutely massive win. For all the shit talk that was done about us since Sunday, for all the mind games from Jose Mourinho and the continued mind games after the game, it's just delusion, to be perfectly honest with you. Liverpool have prevailed by 2-1 at Anfield tonight, and to go, I believe, top of the Premier League table on their own, if I'm right in saying that. Keith, before we get into the actual game itself, lineups, tactics, key men, the usual stuff we do, just your initial reaction, because, you know, the final whistle's gone about 20 minutes now, and I know we're all just buzzing off this, because it just felt like one of those that players missing, Fulham on Sunday, you know, Spurs strolling into the place thinking they own it. I just think it's huge, Keith.
It is huge. It's a huge win. Our season is going a bit like that. We'll have an underwhelming performance where the team look a bit jaded, and then they pick her up when they need to pick her up. And by that, they should be able to pick her up all the time, I know. But, you know, this was a big game because it's in similar ways to last season when, you know, such and such was the threat and we're talking shy, i.e. Leicester, we sort of slapped them down. Mourinho's been talking a load of bleeding bubble leading up to this game. And for us to win it like we did, in the manner that we did with the goal at the end, and see him absolute shit his pants, psychologically, that's a huge win for us now over them. I've this issue with Spurs and Chelsea, and that I think they will drop silly points in home games that they should be winning, and that's why they be close in the league. I think it'll ultimately hinder them. Now, Mourinho does not set his teams out to win in big games, so he was all over the draw. And to lose it at the end is an absolute kick in the onions to him. And it couldn't happen to a nicer fella. And I'm delighted with that. Delighted with that win.
Yeah. Before I get to Gar, just to let you know, I forgot to start. Fucking EJ. This show is brought to you, of course, by Football Prizes. Footballprizes.co.uk. And listen, get on there, have a look, because there's tickets there on different items from $2.95 right up to $5.95. Some of them are brilliant. This week's is a signed Jurgen Klopp picture montage that's framed. It's beautiful. I think there's only 66 tickets for this one at $4.95 each, and it's a stunning looking piece. So what to do is get on to footballprizes.co.uk, have a look. There's loads of different things with different clubs and stuff like that, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. But this one this week is all based around Jurgen Klopp, and it's a really, really good one. Before I get to Gar again, sorry, Gar. Kieran B, 20 euro super chat. He's on the cans, clearly. Had Salah 4 scorer. Thought we might get a penalty. There's half of it. You never walk along. Thanks very much. Gar, he talks about a psychological win. You know, before we get into it all, for me, it's Jose absolutely set out to be the Jose Mourinho we all know. He didn't try tinker about with it. He didn't try alter what he was doing as a fallback because, I tried something different and it didn't quite work. He went absolutely 100% Jose Mourinho and got beaten. I think that's massive.
It's huge, Gavin, especially when you've got, I've been listening to UK radio stations all week, and the narrative, Jose's mind games and all you're here, he's back, his master class is back, and they're going to yourself, lads, will you ever cop onto yourselves? It was some of the stuff of the last few days has been a disgrace. Tottenham on a good run of form. Let's not go away from that. They've had some good wins. Son and Kane have been on fire for them together as a pairing, and they've reverted to Jose Mourinho type tonight as well. In their shape as well, Gav. So, listen, to me, he gets what he deserves. If I'm honest with you, I'd like to see football played. It wasn't played at times by them. They relied a lot on their counter attack. They got a couple of chances for it. In fairness to them, that's what they do, and they do it best. But it was huge, as Keith pointed out. The psychological advantage of even that alone, and Mourinho's giving it the large one at the end of the game when he's just lost is brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It is brilliant, and you know, I just want to throw some comments up here because I think it's well worth doing, right? So Emma Kavanagh says we've broken Jose again. He's off his nut. There is news coming through that he's gone full Kevin Keegan. Somebody says. Abdullah Mohammed says Curtis man of the match for me. Wijnaldum also fantastic. Gonna get to that in a minute as well. Anthony McConville, great performance. Yeah, we beat a lot of so-called big teams. There's just so much coming in. Jacob just has C Senor, loads of I's, S's, E's and O's.
That Joe's corner, is it?
Jacob Zimmerman. Well, Big Joe Walsh. The official result tonight is Liverpool 2. Big Joe Walsh won. Because Joe, of course, called us to lose and told us all day that we were going to lose and stuff like that. But look, Jose seems to be having a breakdown. Let me see. Never forget. Grizz praised Mourinho yesterday. Grizz predicted 1-1. Come on, Grizz, 2-1. Grizz's actual prediction before the game was 2-1. I'm going to be honest with you, because what happens in our WhatsApp group is that he just puts in about 11 predictions throughout the day, and then whatever prediction comes out, he just highlights that message and goes, "Told you." So we've clamped down in the WhatsApp group. We've brought in unions and all sorts now, and basically you have between 6 and 7 p.m. but basically between an hour, 2 hours and 1 hour before the game to predict what the score might be. You have one chance then when the teams are announced to change it, and it's all logged now, apparently. It's all logged. Arsenal Fan Circle channel. I think he said earlier the song goal was offside, but we'll get to that in a minute. Starting lineups, Keith. Same as Sunday, but Joe Matip did not make it, so Reece Williams came in. I genuinely thought he was going to side with Nat Phillips, just for the physicality. A bit more physical, a bit more, not a bit more about him. That sounds wrong. That sounds like a slight on Reece Williams. Just a bit more of a dominant look to him, if you know what I mean. If he wants to get into a tangle with Kane and make it a bit physical and stuff like that. But he went with Reece Williams. Team remained the same. Spurs surprised me a bit with Reguilon not playing and Davis playing and then Belly didn't play either. Lo Celso come in for him. But when you seen the lineup, because I'm being honest, when I seen the lineup, I went, Jesus, Matip. But I have to be honest, you just go with it, and it's what we have at the moment. Were you okay with it?
I was fine with it, to be honest. Look, it's a flip of a coin.
You take your time answering that, will you? Because I'm having a fucking drink. Go on.
No worries. It's a flip of a coin between Nat Phillips and Reece Williams for me at the moment, and I suppose it's maybe you can look at it as a horses for courses game. It's Nat Phillips is quite good in the air and dominant. But maybe Reece Williams, while also very tall as well, I think he's taller, he's 6'4", 6'5". I think he's quicker over the ground, and I think his distribution is a bit better than that, Phillips. So I think, maybe the thinking is that Spurs aren't an aerial team. I know Kane is good in the air, and they do play high enough balls at times, but I don't think they're an aerial team in the sense that Phillips will benefit being in the team. I thought Williams played very well. I thought he lost concentration a few times, but he didn't get sucked in. He didn't get drawn into a lot of the shite that Spurs are trying to do. So with the team, it was as expected for me. And anyway, I thought Williams would have got the nod over Phillips if Matip didn't get the all clear. Now, look, we'll come on to him, I'm sure, in a while. But it was a good team. But you touched on about Spurs line up there, and I thought that was just... I was on a show there the other night with the lads on the Armchair Weekly pod, and we were guessing the teams on that, and they were going a joint combined Liverpool Spurs team, and they were all of the opinion, and it was a Man United fan, it was a Spurs fan, a Liverpool fan, that Reguilon's had a good season and is pushing close. Andy Robbo was the best left back in the league. I wasn't having a bar of that, to be honest. I said it to the lads, it says miles away.
Stay off drugs, kids.
It's telling that in a game like this, Reguilon's dropped. Why is Reguilon dropped? Because Jose cannot trust an attacking fullback like that. Does not
because he was going to go full Jose on it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
And if he could have gone more Jose, because I predicted on that show that
if he'd had Fellaini in the fucking back of the car for that, you would have tried to get him on the pitch instead of this.
But that's what I thought. He'd have had Tanganga. He'd have played 3 centre backs, 2 wing backs, 2 sitting midfielders, but obviously he didn't have the personnel. But what he did do was Ben Davies at left full. We all know Ben Davies is a left full, but he's a defensive. He can play centre back as well. So there was a definite smell of a Jose thing off the lineup, and to me that was a bit telling as well. But it's typical Jose. Doesn't want to lose. Doesn't want to drop points in a big game. But our team tonight, there's not much you can do with it. Naby was back on the bench. Ox is back on the bench, but they're nowhere near match fit. So Curtis has been, excellent. So I think the team picked itself beyond the centre half issue.
I think it did. Joseph Welch, Reds and Kale says, after the result yesterday, 3 points for us today was massive. It absolutely was. I couldn't agree with you. Couldn't agree with you more. Here's a point for you. Samyak Jain says, nope, Reguilon didn't play because of his height. Did that versus Burnley and tall teams as well. That's fair. That's a fair point as well. But I just think that
it's a fair point if you're playing a tall team. We're not a tall team.
Yeah, that's fair enough as well.
Play
But
along the ground as well.
I think I just think that he went full Jose Mourinho. It was simple as that. Grizz is still not with us because there's no laptop issues. I'd say he's just watching the telly. Yeah. So Gar, the team is named, Spurs team is named, and I thought Liverpool's Keith saying he was on a podcast. So was I. I was doing the Spurs one the other night as well, and
two flausies.
No, yeah, two. Yeah, I have another word for it, but I won't use it. But it was on Matty with the Tottenham blog. Really nice fella, by the way. But I was on with him, and they were talking about Spurs. Liverpool are there for the take, and Spurs will come out and attack Liverpool and try to get ahead in the first 20 minutes. I thought it was the opposite. I just thought Liverpool just came out and decided, no, we're playing our fucking game today. We're not pissing around with this. And I thought Liverpool were very, very good. Overall, I thought they were very, very good, but especially for the first 25-30, I thought they were excellent.
Gav, I thought you were really good in possession. A lot better than I've seen us in possession for a long, long time. It wasn't side-to-side stuff. It was little intricate passes, trying to play around, obviously, their shape, which we obviously saw in the first 10 minutes when they go to a 4-4-2 automatically. As you have touched on the centre halves, I think Keith going with Williams was obviously Kane's flick-ons. If that goes in behind, as you say, he's better over the distance of yardage. So for me, I would have probably gone Williams over Phillips for that alone. But I have to say, guys, for me, I look at that midfield. Let's not forget, lads. I know you're probably going to go into this, but we've Williams in that team today. Trent is obviously a different story, and Curtis Jones. Unbelievable, lads. If two kids stepping in there, still new enough to it, guys, against a very, very, very experienced Tottenham side, and trying to bring them in to try and break that down, something they're not really used to, was huge. And look what that does for a young lad's confidence. It has to be fucking huge for them.
Yeah, it is. And we keep going on. Like, Reece Williams looks to me, like somebody said there earlier, he looks like a player that can be. It has all the attributes to be a brilliant centre half in the Premier League. I agree. If you remember, we got on to Salah goal in a minute. He actually starts, I think, with a really good rake on ball.
It's his THIAGO Gav.
It's a really good rake on ball. But and that's great. He's coming in and he's doing the job and all. But Curtis Jones on a different level, and everyone knows what my kind of thoughts on Curtis Jones. Even a couple of seasons back in pre-season, when I thought he played a little bit for himself, he wasn't very, very technically good, but not that tactically aware, I suppose. But the biggest thing for me with him is he hasn't been pigeonholed as a 10. He's looked at himself and went, I can be an 8 in this team, because an 8 has as much attacking impetus as a 10 once you work hard. And looking at his evolution now, I just think he can go anywhere he wants. He can go anywhere he wants in his career, because he's so young and he's so mature on the ball. He's actually more mature on the ball than Trent, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is Trent is outstanding on the ball, but Curtis Jones makes so many good decisions on the ball and protects it so well. It's outrageous, And but we're going through this game, and I'm getting a bit weary, I'm going to be honest with you, 25 minutes in, just before we score, actually. And Gar, I'll stay with you. I'm getting a bit weary because the longer this goes on, all right, you have to score, but Jose doesn't have to, the less time he has to hang on and implement his last 10 minutes job, you know what I mean, that we thought was going to come. And we do get ahead through Salah. I'm surprised he's going to be credited with the goal, I'm going to be honest with you. I am, genuinely. I credit Dogar to Reece Williams for the pass, good interplay, gets it in the box, Salah hits a shot, it loops up, and I'm going to put it out there. I think Lloris is awful for it. What do you think, Gar?
I know I had a little bit of a conversation. I think the deflection really catches him out, Gav. I think it's a major deflection. Judging on your point of how Salah even gets that goal is beyond me. It is a major deflection, Gav. It does come at a really, really odd dip at him as well, I think. I'm not a major fan of Lloris. I don't know where I have him in my fancy league team, but I do. Yeah, but listen, I think the dip catches him out personally. I think he personally thinks as soon as it's deflected, I think he thinks it's gone over. Which is, as you get to your point, yes, if you want to look at that part of it, it is really poor because he's immediately ball watched the first deflection and then not watched the rest of it.
Mm.
So I suppose if you want to go back to your point, yeah, it probably is really poor because he's watched the first part and he hasn't watched the dip down. A little Pickford special off the top of the bar, but obviously it didn't come off. But he hasn't watched the dip, or he hasn't calculated himself. Take a couple steps to the left hand side.
Yeah, because it's gone so high in the air. It's not like Salah's hit a hard shot and it's kind of deflected over him fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It actually loops up in the air. It's nearly bouncing into the net rather than hitting the net. You know, that kind of way.
So he needs to be quicker on across his feet, have go left and either touch it out or, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I'm not complaining. Like, if Lloris continues to be like that, you know, happy days. But I just thought, to be honest with you, I was delighted to get it because I didn't want this getting to halftime in 0-0 because then Jose could have went out and came at us and said, let's get a goal between 45 and 60 and I can master a 30-minute game where we have to hold on because he's very good at it, just regardless of what you say. So
and Gav, they were mastering it. They had the counter attacks and they were mastering it. They hit the post. They had a couple of little chances to get through a couple of times. They were mastering it, and that in itself made me go, "Oh shit! Are these gonna catch us on one of these slight breaks?" Thank God they didn't. They didn't have a lot of shots on goal. Did they end up just having one shot on goal, which was the goal?
No, they 2 shots on target.
Okay, right, okay.
The 2 shots on target. But like Stephen Mack is saying Gav, it was on target equals the Salah goal. The only reason I'm saying that is because I think the West Brom one last night might have been on target and it hits Ruiz and goes in and it's given us an own goal to Ruiz, you know. So I thought maybe they'd fucking done another rule change somewhere where we were all arguing about VAR, but clearly they haven't. Mohammed Jogi says, Mourinho quote, I told Jurgen the best team lost and he disagreed. What a tool. I think he's. Can we just stay on this for a minute, Keith? Because the whole psychology around this, right? And I'm not. Look, we laugh at Jose Mourinho an awful lot of time, but I have a lot of respect for what he does, and he's quite open about what he's going to do, which is grand. You know, he's not sleeving about it where he tells you he's going to come and attack Liverpool and then sits back. But the whole mentality has to be from Mourinho afterwards is, I have to deflect from our tactics here. As going in top of the league and being so defensive, I have to deflect. So while the best way to deflect is tell people something ludicrous and you get away with it. Is that what he's doing here?
It's his modus operandi. He's done it since he came to England. I'm sure he was doing it at Porto before that as well. And look, the Jose Mourinho, he's one that you can moan about him, but when he's not managing, he's box office. I love listening to Jose Mourinho when he's a pundit or he's an analyst of a game or anything. I think he's excellent. Oh, look, here it is.
Hey!
26 minutes past 10, Grizz,
yeah.
No, do you know what it is? I think...
Must have been some kebab you are having.
No. That's all bollocks. What's happened is there's an awful Wi-Fi issue around here. Look, it's still fucking thing.
Oh, there's your heels again.
Fuck you now.
So, you stay there, Grizz.
Yeah. But anyway, Mourinho. Yeah. Mourinho, I think he's box office when he's not managing, but when he gets into management and he gets a sniff of a bit of of a title or a title charge, he reverts the type into the natural winner that he is.
Mm-hmm.
In a season like this, I personally, as a Liverpool fan, I'd rather be in a race with Guardiola and City than a tight race with Mourinho managing a team like Spurs, because he knows what he has to do to grind through shitty little games like that, and he knows the psychology, and as you say, everything he says is for a reason, and it's to deflect away from a poor performance. I mean, he never sets out in a match to win a game in a big game. It's to not lose all the time. It's don't lose, don't make a mistake. He done it with Chelsea when Gerrard slipped. We could still be playing that game now, and Chelsea wouldn't have attacked us if it hadn't been for the slip. He doesn't want to do it. He's come out and said it. You know, if a player if you don't make any mistakes, they've only got a certain % chance of capitalising. If they make a mistake, you're all over it and you're ready for that mistake, you'll beat them every time. And that's the way he sets his teams out, especially in big games. He went into that tonight. Gar touched on it there. They were getting a bit of joy with counter-attacks, the flick-ons, and trying to break through the lines on us. But that's all they offered. They were terrible. I thought they did a period in the game where they were getting on top of it, but they still weren't troubling us, if you know what I mean. I know Bergwijn hits the post, but you see a few sort of half chances, but it didn't look like it was one of them. You know, we weren't under sustained pressure with shots and things like that. You know what I'm
saying? We never were. But you see, the thing, Kev O'Sullivan says that Manscaped is something else, lads. The Manscaped gear is deadly. It's outrageously good. The razor and all is deadly, but the ball toner and the ball deodorant is just out of this world. It is. I was actually thinking to myself the other day, like, do you put a little black sticker over that going to the airport? Because you can't be going through, with your clear bag and just has Manscaped ball toner and ball deodorant on it. Would you put a little bit of electrical tape or something over it?
You might have to think about that one.
You might want to have a look.
It's a controversial one.
But it is outrageously good. And if you they're not meant to be the sponsor of this show, but listen, manscaped.com, LFC DT, use that code, get 20% off, free shipping, and of course it supports us and supports us now and into the future. I'll get on to that. Manscaped, says Kieran B. Yeah, do. It's outrageously good. But like, does that set a tone before we get on to the Spurs? No, I'll tell you what, we do the Spurs goal first and then we have a little chat before we get to the second half. The Spurs goal, a lot of people here are saying that the Son goal was offside. I don't think it is. I think we don't pressure the ball well enough. I think it's a brilliant ball by Lo Celso, hand it to him. People are a little bit, what's Alisson doing? He leaves a lot of big gap there. I think he leaves a big gap there because he thinks Son's going to go across him. But it's a good finish from a really good player, Gar. But it did kind of go, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, 7 minutes or 6 minutes after we go ahead, they get an equalizer and we're back to square one. Were you a bit like that, Gar? Were you like, fuck off?
Yeah, because you're on top of the game. Things are going really well for you. Where the passage of play, the intricacies looking nice. We're knocking it around really well. There's a lot of standout performances. And then that break happens, and I think there's a mix up of where a player should be. I think Curtis Jones was out right at the time, and then he sees a break through the middle of a couple of players. He goes into centre mid, and obviously Williams is left 1v1 with Son at the time. Listen, he's not offside in my opinion. He's just on. Get the lines out, whatever, but he's not offside. If I had to switch to the other side, it was going to be offside, but it didn't. Listen, it's a good break. It's a lovely little finish. He pokes it in the corner. I did speak to you about questioning Alisson a bit. Does he come out quicker on him? Does he close him down a bit better? But as we say, mistakes happen in games. And in that time, as I always revert back to, you've got so many seconds of judgment. And it just was. Son was just a second ahead of Alisson at the time, and these are how mistakes happen in games. Just a couple of seconds.
Yeah, like Chris Brack says there, credit to Lo Celso, it's a defence split and pass. Yeah. If THIAGO does that for us, we are raving over it. We are, and I think you're right where you say about he's just a second ahead of Alisson. I think Alisson is nearly setting himself to try set a trap for him, and just he's about to set that trap, he bangs it in the near side, and like. To be honest with you, he is one of those players when he goes through, you're just thinking he's going to score. He's quite a clinical.
Ultra confident.
Yeah, he is.
9 out of 10 forwards probably would have gone across goal, but Son is probably the informed striker in the league, along with Kane.
Full of confidence, you go near post.
Top of the game, and he just sees the gap and he punishes it. I think it's just one of them.
Yeah. They're asking about the lines here on the offside because people are saying, where were the lines? Where was it? Fair point. A. Loringer says, I think it's just annoyed everyone that we didn't see the same forensic analysis and grid lines that we see for every LFC goal. That's a fair point. But this again is the processes, isn't it? Yeah. If you're gonna check for offside, show us what you're checking. Show us why you're checking it and be transparent about it. But they're not. They're making this up as they go along. It's a different thing every week, but there's no point in going on about it. We won, so fuck them. But before we go on to the second half, Gar, I want to stick with you. this result obviously puts Liverpool on top of the table and a couple of points clear, right? And we seen City drop points last night, and we seen. I was going to say we seen Arsenal drop points. They're fucking relevant. Chelsea get beaten. It's I think United are still in around. Leicester get beaten by Everton as well tonight. Yeah. So there's a lot of players a lot of teams dropping points there.
And the Ever up to 5th.
Yeah, the Ever up to 5th are flying. But what I was going to ask you was, Gar, does this kind of show people how to play against Spurs? Does it show that it can be done? Now I know Liverpool are an extremely good side, but does it show that stick in with them, you'll get chances. Stick in with them, they'll tire. Is there a knock-on effect here for Spurs, or is it just a case of they were beaten by the best team in the country, they'll move on to be fine from next week?
Gav, others more so than us, because he isn't going to go 4-4-2 against every team in England that they play. So he's gone 4-4-2 against us. He hasn't done it against City. He's played as 2 holding midfielders. He's played as 3, and he's played Kane up front. So he's played totally different to Klopp than he does everyone else, and his so-called bigger games is his comment. I think he's passed tonight. He's not going to play that way against everyone, Gav, and therefore others will probably get more chances, if you get me, because they'll be slightly more open. Yes, they'll have 2 holding midfielders to cover left and right. But we do that at times, Gav, and we still give chances away.
Well, I've probably put that a bit wrong to you. I'm going to be honest with you. Brakees 3. That's the best way I can say that, right? He says no, it doesn't, Gav, because Josie won't play against them. I like that. What I'm trying to say is that he's not going to play that way against a lot of teams because he's just come up against Liverpool. He knows how good they are. But is it a case of he'll have to be? He will be a little bit more open against other sides, and the other sides can take belief that we can sit back and we can do to them what they try to do. Do you know where I'm kind of going? It kind of wobbles their head a little bit as to what way do we approach this stuff now.
Well, there's a couple of teams that there are teams that can do that to them as well, Gav. We've seen a lot of the so-called lower sides. A couple have done it to us. If we've seen Brighton do it, in fairness, and use Aaron Conley's pace to get in behind, and they'll certainly do that against Spurs because Aurier will give you a chance. Dyer, as we've seen tonight, is by name, so they will give you a chance. Reguilon will attack. So there's going to be a time when Mourinho turns around and says to Reguilon, I'm not going to play you all the time because I can't trust you. Yeah. Matt Doherty has made the worst move of his life, in my opinion. It looks like a nice sign non-fee. He was flying at Wolves, and he's had a stinker now because they didn't want Aurier.
I don't think he suits them whatsoever.
They couldn't get rid of Aurier. They couldn't get rid of Aurier quick enough. And Matt Doherty has made a stupid decision to go there because he's listen, it's a big payday at the end of the day. But look, he's going to revert, and we've seen it. So we'll see after tonight how he goes out the weekend.
Who they go?
Yeah, absolutely. We will see how he goes about it. It's just I'm wondering, does it throw him a bit, or maybe just does think I can do that sort of tactic against most teams. They can get away with it if I have to. Maybe it's something. Maybe I'm just reading way too much into it. Jacob Zimmerman's
next, so it's
and Leicester needs something now because Brendan's Revolution's falling on its arse again. Arsehole. They wanted to park the bus and all they got was a van. Nice one. So look, I'm going to be honest, Keith. I think Spurs started the second half very well. I think it was a pre-planned tactic to be in the game at half-time, drawing at least, and to go out and try put pressure on Liverpool and make it a 30-minute game on their terms, if you get me. Yeah. And they did have a couple of chances. Liverpool were a bit more open, a couple of little mistakes here and there, and all things said, Son and Kane can hurt you if you make mistakes. You give them opportunities, and they nearly did, but there was always going to be a stage during this keep when we not ride a storm, but we're going to have a couple of moments and then we reset ourselves. And that was certainly the case, I think, between 45 and probably 60.
Yeah, I think it was. I think they did. They came out well. They tried their best to put us under pressure. They obviously knew, and a lot of teams know. Gar touched on the Brighton game where they were looking to spring Connolly on us. Look, we're a depleted team at the moment, and we've got guys in the team that wouldn't usually be there. We've a very young centre back playing tonight. We've a midfielder, Marshall in the defence. Do you know what I mean? So there is going to be holes in that, and we've also got Trent coming back from injury, and you know he took a while to start the season as well. So there was weaknesses in their defence, and Mourinho knows that, and he knows, look, we can get at these. You've seen it in the first on the start of the second half, like when Reece Williams goes to flick one back, doesn't he? And Bergwijn, is that the one where Bergwijn goes through? Flicks the header and doesn't get much purchase on. You know, he played on that, but as you said, it was just a case of Liverpool knowing that every game Liverpool seemed to give up a bit of pressure at the teams to try and regroup and re-energise ourselves. But when we got our foot back on the ball and start dominating it again, Spurs were really reverted to the Mourinho type. They went totally shithousey and were taking off forwards and putting on defenders, and you knew what Jose was in it for at that stage. Once that period.
I want to get through the game because I want to then afterwards discuss Grizz is acting the maggot with whatever he's doing there. But I want to get through the game, and I want to at the end then go back and talk about a couple of players if that's all right. So Gar, I'll come to you. I'll get to Grizz now in a second. As the game progresses from 60 to 80 to 85, and Liverpool aren't making a change, they don't make a change in this game. And Spurs, like Keith said, are sticking on, you know, defenders for forwards and stuff like that. And you're thinking this is just going to go a bit fucking mad now, and it's going to be horrific for the last 15. How worried were you getting? I know it's a late goal, but were you resigning yourself to that's it? You know what I mean? Just fucking.
No, I think I had Gav on 70 minutes. The way that we were fluffing chances, we were passing them back to Reece through most of the game. After 70 minutes, I thought to myself, as soon as he starts making them mad substitutions, I'm saying to myself, he's just going to sit this one out and grind. He's happy with a point here. And it just went that way. It was constant, Gav. It was shot into Lloris's hand. It was pot shots. It wasn't even. It wasn't great. I thought Mane got into it. I know you're going to touch on individual, but I thought he got into it a bit more towards that timing that you're talking about. He really seemed to drive at that side a lot more, and he was getting a bit more joy. There was balls coming in, but there was no one in around the penalty spot, and two of the balls he played in. So at that time, I was saying to myself, "This is draw written all over it."
Yeah, I did as well. I think, you know, and there's a great tweet out there, lads, if you just want to see it. It was basically Tim Sherwood sitting in some studio, and it's a corner at the Liverpool, and he says, Spurs are dominant in the air here. I'm not really worried about this corner and anyone getting ahead in it. And literally as he says it, Mourinho or Firmino heads into the top corner from the corner. It was unfucking believable. Tim Sherwood. It was absolutely fun. It was absolutely brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Steve McLaren, it was the Euros, and he's telling you, it was unbelievable. Grizz, how are you?
I'm okay, guys. Can you hear me? Is everything okay?
I can. Yeah, I can. I have a feeling you're not using your microphone.
No, I'm not.
Okay. But we can hear you, so that's the main thing. Grizz, we're talking. We've gone through most of the game. We're going to come back over a couple of players in a couple of minutes, but I'll ask you the same question I asked Gar. As this is approaching the end of the game, are you thinking? Because let's be honest, most predictions from most people was 1-1, a narrow win somewhere. Were you thinking as this approaches the end? Look, it's the draw that a lot of people thought might happen.
Yeah, no, I was going for the 2-1 win that I predicted, so I was really pushing it. But look, guys, you probably relayed your emotions and everything, and I just had to come on, even sort of using the hotspot and someone else's laptop, the neighbour's laptop. I had to come on and just participate in today's show and just show my love for this club. I mean, I got emotional at the end. I'm not going to lie. When Bobby scored that goal, it's what dreams are. It's what makes you support this club. It's the never say die attitude. You know, can you imagine a packed Anfield with all the Gerard Houllier tributes and how emotional that would have been? And we had to win that with Gerard Houllier. And honestly, I was a grown-ass man. I was nearly in tears, man. Just even though it's game week 13, so many highs, so many lows to go. I just felt this was so. I mean, you know, Gav, we talked about it last night after the show, and just me and you had a one-on-one, and we said, Gav, tomorrow's massive. Do you remember we said it last night? And he was like, Grizz will be okay. And I was like, yeah, we'll be okay, but it's going to be a fuckery of a game. And that's exactly what it is. But guys, football won, and that's why I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with.
Yeah, like there's loads of people saying in here, like Dylan Samuel says Mourinho was deluded. He's gone off on one. He's deflecting. Dylan, that's what he does. He deflects off whatever he can, and he is deflecting away from the fact that he brought Spurs to Anfield, top of the table, and he played basically like he was 16th or 17th in the league. He basically played like West Brom are going to play under Sam Allardyce when I think they arrive at Anfield soon, do they?
2 games, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what he's going. That's what he's going to do. But look, it's a fantastic win, Keith. If you could pick one player on the pitch to bury a header, though, it's definitely Bobby Firmino, isn't it? It's 100% Bobby Firmino. Just for the reason that Harry Kane's on the pitch and Big Joe Walsh is watching. That's the first thing, because he absolutely adores Harry Kane more than he adores the vast majority of other humans on this planet. And then to see him tear towards the cop after he scored, it was just sensational, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would sound weird probably saying this, but I enjoy a Bobby goal more than most other goals. And I don't know what it is, Bobby celebrations, he's an infectious type of character, you know what I mean? Like, there's something about him, big green. He doesn't score enough, we all know that. A lot of people think he should be replacing the team. That's fair enough, you know what I mean? If you think that, you think that. But I thought Bobby was excellent tonight, and I was delighted that it was him who got that goal, because he is good in the air, you know, and he was, you know, to get on that, it just shows how important Bobby is.
It's not only the goal, Keith. His game was,
He was excellent.
You know, we've been touching on it in recent weeks that we're seeing Bobby. We're seeing Bobby. The touch is back. The tenacity of winning the ball is back. The link up is back. Yeah. He lost the ball once, I think, but that's absolutely, you know, normal for a striker of his type to lose the ball once. But he was, apart from that, he was impeccable. Yeah. The way he rolls the ball over his feet in tight positions.
Yeah, he's very cool at that.
Beautiful to watch, Keith. It's fucking beautiful to watch. And it's literally, when Bobby's on his game, it's poetry in motion. Yeah. And you're right, I'm with you. When Bobby scores, it's that extra satisfaction you get, especially to sort of in the face of all the haters and the Bobby detractors. So, Bobby this, Bobby that. That was Bobby and Harry Kane on the same pitch. And there was only one guy who was absolutely world class in that game.
Well, Harry Kane had a free header and he hit it with his bleeding mouth or something, and it just scooped over. Like,
it's hard not to hit it with your mouth when it's fucking that size anyway.
But you know what I mean? Like, he didn't connect with it, and he has a huge head, and he didn't connect with it, and he just...
Yeah, because he's a wanker.
Oh, but that was an absolute sitter. Now, if Bobby hadn't missed that, Bobby would have got pelters. Not just from Liverpool fans, but a lot of people would be jumping on that saying, Firmino missed the sitter. That was an absolute bleeding 4-yard header with no one marking him, and Kane made the balls of it. Firmino's header was excellent, but Ross B makes a good point there. Bobby loved scoring in front of the crowd again, and it's something that we have touched on in previous years.
We've spoken about it,
He's a player that thrives, and it might have been my main man, Grizz Khan, who said it, that he's the type of player who thrives with the crowd, getting
emotion and stuff.
It was me that said it. I think it was Grizz that tweeted it though.
Grizz must have had legs. Grizz tweeted must have had legs.
Bobby's a showman. We said, I think it was a collective point because we're all football men. I think we made it and we sort of agreed. He's an absolute showman. Give him a crowd, sing him that song, and look at what the fuck he's done last few games. Absolute.
But there is something in that. There really is something in that. You know, he wasn't Maradona tonight. Let's not lose the run of ourselves. But he did have that little bit of spark back. He did have the confidence to be doing them little drag backs and solo rolls.
Keito, you know what I noticed tonight about Bobby? He was in the last war. He's been taking an extra touch here and there, and obviously, you know, when you take that extra touch, you're going to be crowded out a bit more. And his decision making had been really bad because of that, because he was taking that extra touch and then he was having to rush a pass off when a player might have been cut off or whatever. But tonight he seemed to be on point again. He wasn't taking that. He roll the pass, give it simple, gone, give it. It was excellent, I have to say. It wasn't out of this world, but he was excellent. And if there was one person on that pitch you wanted to score, well, apart from me wanting Curtis Jones to score, it was him.
But it's true, like you seen it in the Wolves game, the first one with crowds, and they were all singing "Si Senor."
Yeah.
And you know, he done the pass, wasn't it? The bicycle kick pass, was it to Mane when he put him clear? The crowd were singing it. He just had that little pep in his step, and I think it was evident again tonight that he sort of had that. So I think he's a player that will thrive on that sort of thing.
I think it is. I think, you know, like, do you ever play football and you're good at football, right? And you have a good game, but you know you're just flying. And when you're flying and you know people are watching you, it's like everything just becomes so much easier. It becomes even more second nature to you. I think that's what Bobby is. I think it's a case of, I'm really good. I'm not in great form. Let's call a spade, but not in great form. But he's the sort of thing that he hears the appreciation a lot more. And when he hears it, it just runs through his body. You know what I mean? It's like an outer body experience he has, and he just absolutely goes for it. Massive breaking news here. Stephen Mack says he's taking bets now, and if we don't win the title, I will buy every one of you an Easter egg. So mark it down. Stephen Mack, take a list of the people. There's 427 people in here at the moment, so that's quite a long fucking list. You're gonna. I don't know. There's a lot of people getting upset about the fact that there's loads of people watching and not enough liking. So
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, like what I can't get is if I'm watching this on my phone, which I do when I'm not on, I do have it on my phone in the background while I'm doing bits of work or whatever. I literally look down at the phone and just press the like button that's right in front of me while I'm watching. Like
It's embarrassing. Call them out. If you're watching the stream.
Emma Kavanagh has called them out. Only 164 likes. Emma clearly typed that with massive anger issues there. So listen, get on it. Keep liking, just keep liking all the time. Just, do you know what the best thing to do is? Come on, just hit the like button and then start watching the video. That's the best thing to do. Then you don't have to worry about it. You miss nothing.
You know it's gonna be good.
Yeah, people are just letting Stephen Mack know now that they're not having any of this Aldi or little shit when it comes to the Easter eggs. They want the proper stuff, right? So it has to be Galaxy or whatever, Mars, whatever it might be.
Gavin, solid.
Well, if you get a Gavin Andy solid, I will accept that Andy will ring the authorities.
The
Easter egg authorities, the relevant authorities was the words I was looking for there, because Andy is, of course, in oceans when it comes to everything. 300 likes and Grizz will show us more of those legs. Absolutely.
No problem.
Absolutely show you his own for 300. But look, it's a fantastic win. We've spoken about Mourinho, we've spoken about Liverpool, we've spoken about Spurs, the tactics and stuff. So I want to look at a couple of the key men. And Keith, I'm going to come to you because I know I've heard strong views on Curtis Jones from Gar and from Grizz, and they get a word in a minute. But what do you make it? I just think he's literally making himself undroppable. That's how good I think he is.
He really is. I mean, we all know. We all want THIAGO back in the team. We all want to see THIAGO. But when it comes to it, it's going to be a tough decision. I'm not saying Curtis Jones is better than THIAGO, but I'm going to say it's a tough decision to drop that kid out of his team now. He's taken games where senior players around him are not maybe as on form and might be a bit jaded and a bit passive in some games. He's looking for the ball. He had a few bad games earlier in the season. I'm not saying he's been excellent all season, but I love to see a player learning from mistakes and not letting a young player who doesn't let a bad performance set him back. This kid is oozing confidence. I love to watch him. I think I don't want to compare him with Steven Gerrard, right? Let's not go down that road.
Yeah, stay off drugs, lads.
No. At 19, we can look at the comparison.
Gerrard was excellent when he broke into the team as well. Like, I'm not comparing him with that, but what I will compare it with is you're looking at a player and you remember Gerrard when he broke in. There was a lot of young players coming through at that stage, but you knew he was special, you know what I mean? And I think Curtis Jones is starting to look special. He's looking like he belongs in that team. Whereas at the start of the season, you're probably saying he's maybe the eighth taxi on the rank there for the midfield. You know, I think he's really pushed himself up there, and I think there's a couple of lads on that bench tonight that he's gone ahead of, you know.
Well, he absolutely has.
I think he's ahead of them in the pecking order. James Milner, ahead of him in the pecking order.
Well, he has to be, in my opinion, because Oxlade-Chamberlain, as good as he is when you get him on a pitch, and Keita to an extent as well, they're not on the fucking pitch enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So are you going to take this? Are you going to, if you rate Curtis Jones a 7.5 out of 10, I'll play him every single week rather than throw the fella that's rating 8. I just will, because he's much more dependable. He knows what's going on. He's up to speed. It's a no-brainer, and that's nothing against. That's not me going like people go, oh, you're fucking anti-Naby Keita. No, I'm not.
No.
If I was anti-Naby Keita, you'd know about it. But I just look at him, and Grizz, I'll come to you because I want Gareth to have the last word on it, because I genuinely think he's related to Curtis Jones. He loves him that much. But Grizz, what I like about him is, away from the actual technical stuff, it's when you look at him now, Grizz, he looks bigger, he looks stronger, he's an athlete, he doesn't look like he'd be pushed around. He looks like, you know, like if you go onto FIFA and you decide to make a player and you make their physique and stuff like that, he just has the physique of a Premier League footballer at 19 years of age.
Yeah, just often, sometimes you don't want to go overboard with praise, like Keith said, for 19-year-olds. They have long careers ahead of them, and you don't want to start comparing him to the likes of Steven Gerrard and everything. But what you have to do is take it on face value and what he's done. He's actually done for this team in the most crucial time where midfielders were needed, creative midfielders were needed. Ox, Naby, who's the other fella out in midfield? THIAGO, small matter of THIAGO. You've got three senior creative midfielders out, not available.
Milner.
This guy stood up and been counted. And everything that you've said, Gav, I totally agree with. But what I love about him, above all those talents that he's got, and I agree with every single one of them, is the way he makes space for himself when receiving the ball all around the pitch. And that's a sign of great intelligence. And usually the top attacking midfielders get that later on in their career, the more they play. This fucking kid's got it at 19, guys. Yeah. He's going left, he's going right, he's dropping, he knows when to pull out wide. How many times, honestly, guys, all of you football men like me, watch it again tomorrow, because that's what I'm going to do, and see how many times Curtis Jones receives the ball and it seems like no one's picking him up. Even in a Jose team, if you're getting space in a Jose Mourinho team, you are super intelligent, my man. You are super intelligent. Watch how many times he receives the ball and it seems like, why is no one picking him up? He's too clever. Yeah. How clever is he for a kid? Guys, he's got everything going for him. He's got absolutely everything going for him. Keith said earlier he's had bad games. Keith, I honestly think he's had bad halves maybe. But again, he's picked up and he's learned from even that 45 minutes he's had bad.
I think the Ajax game, people will always pinpointed that he wasn't great in that, but he learned from it. He learned and he got better.
I was one of his, not his critics, but I wasn't a believer. I wasn't a believer of his. I thought he's got the talent. I just didn't know if he's got the mindset and if he's going to get a chance enough to progress in this team. Well, he's got the chance, and Jurgen Klopp will not drop him easily or not. He's there to stay. And I mean, let all the players come back, because today, guys, I know Gav asked me what was my feeling. Well, I don't know if you asked you guys before. What was you feeling at 1-1? I was fucking fuming at the likes of Jota, Naby, Ox not being available. All right, Naby being available. I was going mad. I was thinking, this is when we need all these high-profile names to come on and change this game. But we relied on the likes of Curtis Jones, and he's pulling us through our most difficult times. I can't speak highly enough of him. We could do a pod just on Curtis Jones, probably.
Well, I'm glad that you're now a fully paid up member of the Church of Jones after not being a believer in the first place. It's good to hear. Kieran Thorne, here's a stat. Super chat. Curtis Jones, 113 passes, 93.8% completion, 4 interceptions, 2 key passes. Absolutely unreal tonight. Gar, I'm going to give you the last word on Curtis Jones to you, because I think you're his biggest fan and have been for the sky's the limit, in my opinion, for him. And I think, do you ever see when you see a squad and you think we need another midfielder? I think he may make up Klopp's mind on 1 or 2 midfielders of that club that are already there. What do you think?
I think he has done, Gav, to be honest with you. A couple of points. I know Gray just touched on the Gerrard thing. I think he's more tactically disciplined in his own mindset than Gerrard ever was, to be honest with you. The kids.
Yes, 100%.
And then I lead on to the Ajax game, and I've had arguments with Keith and Paddy about this standing at a wall of football one day. He was left out. He's hung out to dry in midfield that day, lads. The gap between defence and midfield was far too big at times. And I think he's gone on and learned from that, because you see tonight in times when we hadn't got the ball, how he's dropping into position, left and right side. Usually we see someone cover each side at times, where he was all over the place. Then you go into Grizz's point about the world-class players always seem to have time on the ball. And when you play against these, even older League of Ireland lads or lads who've gone away in England and you're on an Astro turf and a five-a-side, and these lads don't even run 5 yards, they just pass it around, and you're going, how the hell is he doing that? This kid is unbelievable, lads. Here, and here's one. I was lucky enough to play against someone who was on their bench tonight in Dele Alli 3 times in 3 pre-season friendly, and that guy looked like he glided on air in them games, right? He is, to me, what I saw in a younger Dele Alli at that time. In regards of he is so ultra confident. He's willing to go into a tackle. He's no fear in him, and it's so Gav, I'm a huge fan, and I've had arguments with lads in the group over it. This, as you say, the sky's the limit. But I think he's already made up Klopp's mind. I think if Klopp has trusted him again in that game tonight, I think it's huge, to be honest with you. I think he's now made himself, part of that midfield trio. I know you've got a couple to come back.
Yeah.
But if he keeps pulling out performances like that, and that's that stat that was just shown in there, I'm sitting here like a proud father looking at that stat.
but you see, the thing is, like you say, you have a couple to come back, right? But and like you're saying, Klopp trusts him in that. Now people will turn to you and say, "Well, look, he had to. He'd nothing else available." Realistically, when you look at what you want as match fit, but I genuinely think now, if Curtis Jones keeps playing the way he's playing, I don't think it matters what Naby Keita or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain do. And I genuinely believe that. The only way Curtis Jones, for me, isn't in that midfield at the moment is if Firmino goes back in there and THIAGO is fit.
Yeah.
That's the only way, and that's no slight on him, because look, if Henderson, Firmino and THIAGO are in ahead of you, who are you to argue? But it doesn't matter, because if you're 4th or 5th choice, if you made Wijnaldum 4th and him 5th choice, now you could argue Wijnaldum should be in there ahead of other players. But if you make them 4th or 5th choice, they are playing 30 to 40 games a season with Liverpool. It's just the way it is, And I think the sky is the limit. I think fair play to him, and I think his progression is unbelievable. I think it's a credit to him, because I thought his progression would see him being in and out this season and look to push on next, but he's taken it all in his stride, and I think he's been unbelievable.
Can I just add one thing before we move on off that? And I know Gar was going to have the last word. I said he very liked Steven Gerrard, and Gar made an excellent comparison with Dele Alli, and we all know Dele Alli was compared as well to Steven Gerrard type player, and they're very attacking midfielders. Now, the thing that I've noticed with Curtis, and it was, I think Gar said it, or Grizz, one of the lads said it, he's playing a lot deeper now. He's coming deep. Yeah. I think he's being moulded into a Genie replacement. I think we're going to lose Genie, and we're going to look to replace him with his place in the squad nearly with Curtis Jones. I think Curtis Jones is progressing that far up that we would not desperately look to replace Genie with a like for like midfielder. So let's say we went for Houssem Aouar. Houssem Aouar is an excellent player, right? And I think he's similar traits to Genie in that he's good close control. Yeah. I think we'd look to bring in a Houssem Aouar, and it'd just be another midfielder, but that Curtis would be nearly the Genie replacement. You know what I mean? And Aouar would go ahead of, let's say, the Ox or Naby if we were to move them on because of their durability. I think he's that good that he's nearly going to be looked at as the Genie replacement, because I can't see Genie staying at this stage.
Either can I, but the only thing I would say is that it's good when you see Curtis Jones and you're talking about more getting the ball deep and in tight positions than like gliding past people, because that's what he was all about as a young. When I say as a younger player, he's 19. But but now you can see there's so much more to his game. Paul Versigi, I think that's right. 442 in the chat, 225 likes. Have some respect for what these lads do and hit the like button. Yeah, go ahead, hit the like button. Grizz, a lot of people in here are chatting again, and we seem to do this ad nauseum now at this stage, about Gini Wijnaldum, but I have to say, again, I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah.
Gav, who wasn't? Honestly, who wasn't outstanding? Jenny's a machine. I think he's slightly refined his position last couple of games where, you know, absolutely naturally the energy levels aren't there to make sort of playing this box to box while he plays. He's sitting, and it kind of helped today because it nullified their counter attacks. I thought him, and I don't know if you guys have mentioned our fucking captain again. Have you guys mentioned that?
No, we haven't had a chance to. In fairness.
Jesus, mate, that guy was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. The way he marshaled that midfield, protected Williams, it was impeccable. Everything that every stupid shithead out there has accused him of, he's thrown back in their face with interest. Coward, not brave on the ball, just a pointer. Everything they've said, they must look like absolute numpties now.
They probably do, but I don't want to talk about them.
No, I'm just talking about. No, I'm talking about. I'm relaying it to his performance because watch him for that 90 minutes, and that's what you call a captain's performance. Because he had so much pressure. As soon as that biscuit Matic was ruled out, Henderson automatically would have thought, right, I've got so many things to look after. I've got to guide Curtis. Well, you don't need to guide Curtis anymore because Curtis is the fucking second coming of Zidane, mate. Right? So forget about him. Then he's thinking...
Stop robbing Joe Walsh's...
We're footballmen. We're allowed to do that with each other.
Oh, right, okay.
And then Williams, the way he and he knows Ginny's covered every blade of grass this season. The way they worked in tandem to stop any possible counter, our counter pressing was second to none. Now we guys know we're not stats men, but it would be wonderful to see the amount of counter pressing done. How many times we won that ball back as soon as we've lost it. What was your original question about Ginny? I know I've
said clear, mate.
Exactly. Let's rejoice about every single player. Let's not, dwell on one player too much. And that's my answer.
Look, I'm not saying for a minute that we shouldn't rejoice on them all. I just like to pick out a few because they were getting the most mentions, I suppose.
The midfield were excellent because Spurs midfield are built very similar to ourselves.
Yeah.
Mourinho wants workers in there, and Sissoko is just an engine for them, and Højbjerg as well. And we didn't let them into the game at all, in my opinion. They couldn't get a grip of it. And that's, as Grizz said there, that's where Henderson having to, not babysit Reece Williams, but having to be extra switched on defensively while still getting his forward passing going and, building attacks and supporting attacks. Like, he was brilliant. But the three of them in there, I thought, were absolutely excellent again.
Hey, though, I don't understand how Mourinho diverted from that first 10 minutes of his formation in the second half to go to a 4 again when there was a 3-on-2 overload in centre mid all the time. I just don't understand. This guy is supposed to be he has been a master tactician. I take that back, right? He has been, but to allow that against one of the top sides in the world, a 3-on-2 all the time, especially three players who are so good on the ball and can switch plays so quickly.
I think his thoughts were I think his thoughts were if he switches to a 4-2-3-1, it may be an attempt to push Liverpool back, because if you get one of those players a bit forward, Henderson might have to go and drop a little bit, and Liverpool as a whole team would have to drop them, because as Grizz says, Henderson is looking around trying to look after Reece Williams. And if you try to look after that, and then if a player comes just and stands on his toes, then it's kind of, well, hold on, I need to pass him on somewhere, and it tries to force Spurs back, but I don't think they had the personnel to do it. If they had a really, really creative player like a THIAGO to sit in beside Højbjerg, you go, perfect. But you literally have Højbjerg that's a bit like Henderson for me when you watch him. And then you just have a Walker in Sissoko, who's not very good, in my opinion. No. But I think it might have been a tactic of Josie's to try move us back a little bit by just trying to change something small. But Liverpool didn't bite. They just said, put him up there if you want. It's just one less player for us to go past when we're going the other way. So it was something like that. But I want to get man of the matches in a minute, lads. But before I do, a couple of things I have to go through, right? So Football Prizes is the sponsor of this show, footballprizes.co.uk. They are on Instagram, they are on Twitter, they're on Facebook. They do all the live draws on Facebook. Really good company, a really good set of people over there. I have to be honest, we're dealing with them about a month now, and they are second to none. They're brilliant. They get so much good memorabilia with regards to Liverpool and all other clubs as well. It's outrageous what they have. Everything comes with a letter of authenticity, so it's not a case of did he just buy this jersey and fucking write a name, a black marker on it. It's not like that at all. The prizes are really good. The odds of winning is fairly good as well, usually around 99 to 1 or 66 to 1. Tickets ranging from $2.95 right up to $5.95 depending on the price. This week, of course, is the Jurgen Klopp photo montage, which is also signed. 66 tickets at $4.95 each. Really, really good. Listen, it might be something you don't want to do now, but it might be something you consider in the future. I'll have a go at that because my uncle likes Leeds and his birthday's coming up and I'll have a go. But please go to Football Prizes on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook, and give them a like, give them a follow. It does no harm to you, and it keeps you up to date with stuff, because genuinely, if you're a Leeds fan, they have outrageous Leeds stuff. If you're a Leeds fan, you'd be all over it all day long, but the Liverpool stuff is brilliant as well. There's Chelsea, there's so much in there. So go and have a look at them. They are the sponsors of this show, and they do look after us, and we try to look after them. So go and go and follow, and have a look. There might be something there that you like. And listen, if you've a spare fiver here, you might throw it on, and you never know your luck. You never know your luck, because they've given away. They're only a new company, but they've given away over 200 memorabilia prizes since they've started. So and it's really, really good. They even have stuff then that PlayStations and Xboxes and stuff. They do mad stuff every so often as well. So it's really good. Dan has just thrown us a pound. I don't know why, Dan. You didn't even say anything. If you want to put a comment underneath somewhere else, and I'll read it out. Promise. What else? Colossus Bets. I just want to give a quick shout to our other sponsors, because Manscaped got a shout earlier, so it's only fair. And I try to give them all a little shout on each show. But Colossus Bets, you sign up at colossusbets.com, you use LFC DT as your referral code, you look us up, you see our syndicate, you go, oh, that's good, they're good picks, I'll contribute. You can contribute anything from 10p up to whatever you want. Our bet for this weekend's football is now live. I think it's 20 cent a line, so you get a fair few for a quid or £2. So go and have a look at that. And the last thing before we get on to man of the matches is you may have seen on a lot of our shows, you will see this hashtag, and it's down the right hand side of the screen now. It'll be in the show description for the audio download, but it's Key and Strong. Now, a lot of people watching will know what this is about. Some people that are watching probably don't. So basically, there's a link in the description to a GoFundMe page that we've decided to support. This young child, baby, needs $100,000 for treatment for brain cancer that he contacted when he was 5 months old. He's now a year old. All I will say is that it's a friend. It's one of our podcast lads' best friend's son. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go into any more details. Very, very close to a person's heart on this podcast. All right. So we've decided to support this until we get to the 100 grand, and if that takes a month or a year, it doesn't matter. We're not gonna let it go until that happens. The response has been amazing. I think there's been $1,500 already given to us, or given to the GoFundMe page. So they're up around 75 grand now. They need another 25. Go to the description, hit the link. You can read all about it. Give you updates every week on how he is. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you have young kids, I wouldn't read it, because it's a hard read. I've a baby that's 11 months old. I know Grizz has a very young child as well, and I find it hard to read things like that, but it just puts into perspective how some people in the world are trying to get through day by day, and then Christmas coming up and you're looking at a 1-year-old child with that. It's not nice, but we're doing our absolute best. I can give you an update on what we're trying to do though. A very, very generous viewer of this show, who I'm not going to name yet, I will name when we need to, came up with an idea to put together an absolutely super mega bundle prize, Liverpool related, and he is contributing to it. We are working together with him to get as many prizes together as we can, which we're going to put together as a massive bundle. We're going to show you exactly what it is, and then we're going to do a draw for them. We haven't finalised exactly what it is yet, but watch out for it, because some of the stuff is madness. Absolute madness. So keep an eye out for that. Hit the link in the description. If you can't donate, that's fine, but just share it. Do whatever you want. It's our pin tweet on Twitter and all like that. And look, people might get bored of me saying this, but I'll never get bored of telling you about this kid. Never, until we get where we need to get. Okay. So I make no apologies for saying it on most, if not all, shows. That's about it. For that, man of the matches. Grizz, I'm gonna let you go first because I love you the most. You know I do.
Man of the match is a bloody tough call for me.
Really is.
Because of the players that we've mentioned and with the players that we haven't fucking mentioned. I thought Robbo was superb again down that left. Absolute monster. I'm not. Keto, I'm going to call you out there. I'm not. I'm going to go for Bobby Firmino. Lads, Bobby Firmino, apart from his goal, his touch, his play, everything, he deserved that. The crowd singing his name is happy days again, man. It was like early last season. Do you know what I mean? When the full Anfield crowd was singing his song, it got me emotional. So yeah, it's got to be Bobby.
Okay, just to let you know before we get to Keith and Gar, Genie, Jones, Robertson is in there, Bobby's in there. There's loads of names. Henderson, Reece Williams. There's loads. It is a difficult answer, in fairness. I usually don't let Grizz off the hook, but I will now. Keith, man of the match.
I'm going to go with someone that wasn't mentioned even in that long list. I thought Firmino was absolute excellent at the back, carrying it into midfield, supporting the attack at times. In the second half, he was up on the sideline, juggling and doing all sorts. He was absolutely brilliant. And I think he's fast becoming the best centre-back in the league. Do you know what I mean? That's playing at the moment. I think he's absolutely amazing at centre half.
Some football fans, some football men in this podcast did this, Keith.
That's not what happened at all.
It's all right. Me and Keith.
No, but look, I thought he was brilliant, and he's the unsung hero, I think, in this team at the moment. When you consider everything we're going through, look, anyone could have got it. I'm going with Flacco on it. I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Captain Sal says Naby Keita should get it for distracting Spurs while he was for the goal while warming up. I think that's a show. But look, there's loads of names in there. Gar, who are you going for?
I'm gonna go from the reliable. I'm gonna go with Curtis Jones. Just again excelling against one of our challengers. I just thought, as I've already alluded to, he was excellent in everything he'd done. He was immense for me. I've Kate's shout and Grizz's shout are brilliant as well. You could have named, any one of 6 or 7 players out there, probably 8 or 9. But for me, just for his youth and just the way he's stepping up all the time, I'm going to give him the Curtis Jones. Okay,
so we have Fabinho. Grizz has gone with, who did Grizz go with? Firmino. We have Curtis Jones. I have to throw a vote in there for Gino Wijnaldum, because I don't know how he can ever be ruled out as man of the match when he just keeps playing football every 3 fucking days and keeps playing 90 minutes. No one's giving him a break, and I think it's starting to come true. Somebody in this group told us last week, Dan has thrown us another pound. He's not saying anything, he's just throwing us a pound. Dan,
strip club, Dan.
Say something to us. But I think it's coming true. Someone in this group said a couple of weeks ago, I think they're just playing Genie until he signs the contract. They're never going to stop playing him until he signs the contract. And I think this might be a case. But look, it's been a fantastic show. It's been a brilliant win for Liverpool. If you can go and find extended highlights anywhere, go and find them and relive it again if you want. I'd like to thank Keith. Keith, thanks a million for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Good stuff. Gar, it's been a pleasure. Thanks a million.
Thanks, lads.
Grizz, you turned up late, but I forgive you.
It's okay, it happens. I'm sorry I let you down.
Okay. Say sorry. Who do you say sorry to when you apologise?
Sorry, Gav. Sorry, J Bulls.
Yeah, that's how it works. So, I'm sure he is. And sorry, Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to everyone. But look,
everyone. But you know what? I could carry on the show. Like, you guys could go off and go to sleep, and I could carry on talking to the viewers about this tonight, because I truly think this was an absolute pivotal game. And even if you didn't let me speak, I just wanted to be sat here in the corner just listening.
Oh yeah, you're definitely the sort of person that just comes on here and is happy to sit in the corner and say nothing.
In the corner and just you guys to just be part of the crowd tonight.
Jacob's getting worried. He says, "What's going on between Grizz and Gav? Get it together, guys. This is just me and Grizz. It's no problems.
Yeah.
Don't be worried about it. We're not going to fall out. I'm definitely not going to file for divorce, so there's nothing to worry about." That's it, I think. That is the midweek fix. Thanks to Football Prizes. Don't forget to go to footballprizes.co.uk and, of course, to the link in the description for the GoFundMe for Keane, the young kid. Liverpool have sent Jose and Spurs packing back to London with their tails between their legs. Liverpool have gone top of the Premier League because that's where we belong. But don't worry, Jose. It could be worse. You could be Arsenal over and out.
There's some